Hey everybody. Um, I don't know what's going on in your life, but there's been some things going on in mine, and so I thought I would come on here and share and just talk about some of the thoughts and feelings that I've been having. So I kind of titled this, it's not a bad thing to have ideas of where we want to go and who we want to be. I think when we're young, sometimes we have that hope and that dream of uh, who and, like I said, who and what we want to be. I will be honest with you, I really wasn't one of those people that I know that there's people out there that know what they want to do and they figure that out early on. I wasn't necessarily one of those people. And but I knew that there was this driving force that uh, was making me go one direction or another. And so for me, I was the good girl. That's uh, that was my MO. I followed all the rules. I tried not to. I think I was actually in my late 30s before I back talked to my mom, really for the first time. Um, I did all the things. I took care of my siblings. I was the one that was the friend that, in even in high school, if there were people doing things that we shouldn't be doing, I was the one that lived the farthest out. And even though, um, lots of other people lived far enough away, right? Or somebody else could have stepped in. I always felt that sense of responsibility that it was my responsibility to take care of everybody. And so that was kind of I just grew into that, right? I just stepped into that, and people then became or started to expect that from me. I was babysitting from an early age. When people would come home, I mean, that was definitely something that was ingrained in me from a young age. My mom was like, if you go somewhere to babysit, you are supposed to leave the house better than you found it. And so, and I think that was something that was said to her, right? Um, but from a young age, I didn't realize how much society or so many things were being told to me, so many expectations that weren't even mine. And I couldn't even, I didn't know why I always wanted to be the good kid. I wanted to just follow the rules. And even when I was younger, like I said, when I was in high school, I was known as Betty Crocker because I would do all the cooking and baking and things like that. And I was always the friend that would take care of everybody. And so when somebody says you're good at something and a lot of other times you don't feel seen, you lean into that. You're like, well, I guess this is my shtick, right? This is my claim to fame. And so that's what I did. I found a job and, people around me that, I love all my friends and my family. That's not to say that I don't. But that just became an expectation of me. And when someone was down on their luck, whether it was somebody said it to me or it was something that I perceived that I thought that I was supposed to step up and take care of that person. Um, I just always felt I was supposed to. So, for example, like if somebody would say in a crowd, right, like when it was PTO time and they needed to have the book uh, fair, um, they send it out, or maybe we were at a parent meeting and they would say something like, whoever can come and help out, we really could use people. And I always felt like they were talking right to me. And so I felt like, oh man, I have to do it. And so that's where I would end up taking on more and more things. If people were in a bad space, let's say there was a time when there were people there, during the boom where I live, there were lots of families that didn't have family around to help them out and things like that. So, of course, I thought it was my responsibility to help what I call the broken birds. And so, especially at that point in time, there were families that maybe they had children with disabilities and they didn't have anybody else to help them around. And so, I'd be like, oh yeah, come on over to our house, or come out to the lake and go camping with us, or I'll keep your kid at a basketball game. And Justin was like, seriously? And then there were just different times that it went awry, because I felt this expectation that I was always, when someone else wasn't stepping in or someone else wasn't able to do it for themselves, I felt this uncontrollable need to have to control, right? I don't even like to say it like that, but that's how it felt. It felt like, well, I need to go and help these people. Until so many different times it would come and backfire on me. And finally, Justin said, no more broken birds. You can't, don't try to save any more people. And I realized a lot of times it was because I was what they call codependent. I feel, whether you call it somebody that really is intuitive, feeling what other people feel, or an empath, there's lots of different words for it. But I can walk into a room and feel that somebody's not feeling settled. And my previous MO was to try to fix it. And notoriously, I would try to make it better for everybody else, even though it might have been tragically terrible for me. And so I didn't realize how much that was taking a toll on me, or how I was allowing other people's expectations, whether people had said them to me or I felt that that was the expectation that I was supposed to do, to be a good wife, to be a good mom, that, I thought that I would maybe tell somebody else, hey, you know what, pick up those cupcakes at Cashwise and take them in for, their birthday. They don't care as little kids, but in my mind, as me and the mother of my children, I thought I had to be on all the time. I thought that I had to do all the things and be all the things to all people. And, I would just add more and more and more things to my plate, because I thought if I helped more people, it would help me. And I didn't want to disappoint anybody. There would be this awful feeling that if maybe I said the wrong thing, and I'd get in the car or I'd go home and lay in bed and just like ruminate about, I should have said this differently. I shouldn't have said that I don't want to go to that movie. Now they have nobody to go to the movie with them, so I should call them back and say, you know what? I switched some things around, I can go. Even though then I had to try to do 10 loads of laundry and make cookies for the PTO and umpteen other things. Because I thought as long as everybody else was taken care of, then I would be good. Because that's what I learned, whether I don't, that's how I learned love was, or that's what I equated love to be, or to be okay, when I was younger. And even as an adult, I talk about that I'm like in the people pleasing, the addiction of people pleasing, and the before and after recovery. And I feel that I'm in that sense right now. There's many times that I slide back. But I think the reason why I wanted to come on and talk to you guys about this is that no one is coming to save you. And as women, we feel this unrealistic expectation to be on all the time. I'm thinking about so many friends and family today that this is the first day of school for them. And for the first time in how many years, I don't have a kid having the first day of school today. He'll have that next week. But I thought about all the things that, if our kids didn't have the right markers or the right number of crayon box, that we would just, I know for myself, I would beat myself up, even though I knew that my kids didn't need that. Maybe they didn't say it, but I looked around the room and I saw that not everybody obeyed what the teacher said for the 24 crayons. Everyone else got the 48. So then I'm thinking in my mind, I'm the sucky mom. I didn't get them the extra crayon box. And so, I'm looking, I really think that, like I said, today is the first day of school for so many, so many. Or whether it was last week or it's next week or your kids are out of school and you don't even have that. It just happened to hit me today to make me really think about it and thought I should share it with you guys. But the thing about it is that so many times we don't even know why we do what we do. We've just come so ingrained that that's the expectation, that in order to be a good daughter, I'm supposed to, you know, hoe my mom's garden on her birthday every year because I did it the first year and so I'm supposed to do it again. That in order to be the best daughter-in-law, I'm supposed to remember everybody's birthdays and, you know, everything else. Or to be the best wife, I'm supposed to, you know, meet him at the frickin' door every day and, you know, have a drink when he comes in home, or even just to have a meal made. I would drive myself crazy, and I'm still working on it. And so a lot of times when I started to ask myself, well, why do you do this? Why do you do that? If I don't want to go somewhere, why do I still go? Because I will tell you, just a couple of months ago, there was a function going on and it involved our family. And you know what? I realized that if I went and I felt like I had to be there 24/7, it really did not feel good for me. And so I I released myself and said, you know what? You don't have to. Who said you have to? Even though my husband has been saying this to me for years. I would always say, yeah, but this is what they expect. Or yeah, but this is what they think of when they think of Nikki. So for example, my husband just had his 30th class reunion and we had it somewhere else. And then afterwards we all came back here and came back to our house. And you know what? These are the things that people don't know about me, but these are the things that I see changing as I'm saying no more. This is about me. I have to choose what I want my life to be and what I want to do and who I want to be with and who I want to be around and what I want to cultivate more of. But we came beforehand. I didn't go to the grocery store, you guys. I used to, beforehand, I probably would have gone to the grocery store and I would have bought all this stuff and I would have made stuff ahead of time because you know what? We might just happen, because my husband had said, hey, do you want to have people over if that's how it ends up going? I'm like, sure. And again, I had to remind myself, I'm like, we don't need to go to the grocery store. We don't need to spend money on making a meal that, or munchies or a meal or something else that I don't even know that people are going to come back here for. But for me, I always was trying to anticipate. I was always trying to be so far ahead so that, you know what I did? I missed the moment time and time again because I was living in what I thought everyone else's expectations were. And so instead, I didn't go to the grocery store. Actually, even the night before, we stayed out at our lake place and we came home that day. I went and got dressed. We went out to that. Didn't even like pick up my house. All of those things because I think that if I have dishes in the sink, my mother-in-law is going to think I'm a bad person, or my mother's going to think I'm a bad person, or my best friend's going to think I'm a bad person. All the stories that we tell ourselves in our head because of these expectations, whether they are real or perceived, right? But getting back to when we had the 30th reunion, we all decided to come back here. And of course, we get back here probably about 10 minutes before everybody else gets here. They go get their stuff. If they want any eats or drinks, I said, to bring it over. I literally opened up my chip cupboard. Some friends that we had been with the night before had brought some like different nuts and things like that. Threw that in a bowl, put some chips in a bowl, and put out some cream cheese and some different fun different jellies that one of my besties on here, Miss Nina, if you want some good stuff, makes the most fantastic spicy jellies. Put that out there and some freaking crackers and some and some different chips. And that was it. And I remember one of our good friends said to me as they come in, they're like, oh my gosh, Nikki, you should have told us. We would have brought stuff. And look at you. And they meant it they meant it kindly. They said, you always have it. And one of them said, well, I said, really, I didn't do anything, right? I didn't do anything that was so immaculate. And they're like, yeah, whatever. You always have a plan B. And so here's the message that I want you to hear in that is that not everybody is going to know or need to know that you have changed. Some people are going to notice and some people aren't going to like it. And what I have learned is that either like it or get off the pot. You know, whether it's friends, family, acquaintances, whatever. It's not that I'm telling them to go F themselves or whatever. I'm not doing that blatantly, but what I'm saying is that if you don't like me, because here's what I had to say, is what I had to figure out is I had to like me. I had to see myself through my own eyes and stop waiting to see myself through everyone else's and trying to hit all the marks for their expectations. So even though that night went off without a hitch, I mean, you know, people ate the snacks, whatever. It was probably unmemorable to other people, but that night was memorable to me because I lived my truth in that I am trying to not live for everyone else. And I will tell you, as a mom, we don't want to say that. Or as a wife, we are so afraid to talk about that truth of saying, you know what, I do live for my kids and things like that, but I should be living for me. It's okay for me to have wants. It's okay for me to have needs. And it's okay that we meet our needs first. Whether that means you go to the movie by yourself, you go to bed early because you know what? Yeah, it would be your kids would really like, let's say you have older kids, they'd really like you to stay up and watch a TV show. But you know what? You're tired. So honor that and go to bed. Sure, there's going to be times that you choose that you want to do something for that other person. But here's what I'm telling you, stop living for the expectation of others or what you think that they want you to do. Because I will tell you, it is torturous and it tears us down. Whether that's the truth that someone thinks about us or it's the perceived truth that I think that those people think about me, I have to stop that because no one truly knows us but us. And so when we become naked truth or show ourselves the naked truth of who we are and who we want to be, that's the miraculous thing. There is so much freedom. I will tell you, when I chose not to go over for the entire time of this family gathering, I mean, I loved everybody being there. But I didn't feel the anxiety like I usually felt, that I felt like I had to be on all the time. I had to make all the food. I had to have everything clean. I had to be doing all of the things for everybody else. And then at the end of the day or the end of the night or the end of the weekend, you know who I was downright awful to? I was usually awful to myself because then I was just self-loathing, like, why did you do that? You didn't want to do that. You didn't want to have to make another freaking cake. You didn't want to have to play basketball. You didn't want to have to do all those things. But because I wanted to look like the perfect mom or the perfect wife or the perfect daughter or the perfect daughter-in-law or the perfect whatever, I did it because that's how I thought love was. And actually some people, that's how they show me love. They only show me love if I'm a good girl. If I shut up and follow in line. And I'm tired of that. I don't want that. You know why? I don't want that for me. I don't want that for anybody. That doesn't mean that you have to pick at everything, right? Or go out and you don't have to tell everybody this. The truth comes in telling ourselves, giving ourselves permission to say, I'm choosing to say no, or I'm not going to listen to my expectations or the things that I think that someone else wants of me. What do I want in this moment? What do I need? And I think that what I'm also figuring out is that You know, as I'm being more open with all of you and speaking about my journey, I think that it's been very eye-opening, because now I've been able to see that I'm not even the same person I was 12 months ago. I'm not the same person I was even 6 weeks ago on this journey. And I've said that many times about our grief journey and my healing journey, is that there's so many people, I don't think they mean it, but it comes across like they want me to be the old person. And I never can be again. None of us can go back. Our experiences and things like that, they change us for good or the bad. And so that's my message to you guys tonight. Oh, Miss Nina, yeah, sometimes we don't even know our own self. We know who we are. And that's so true. But I think that we have to fit this mold. Who said? Who said you had to fit that mold? You know, I challenge you to start to think about, what is one thing that you think is an expectation or a rule that you've had to follow, but nobody actually told you and you don't really know where that came from, and it doesn't make you happy. Think about those. You know, I share with, when I go and talk with some people, sometimes, you know, I shared a couple, about a year or maybe even 2 years ago, I shared that I lost my passion, or what I thought was my passion, for cooking. I hated it. I detested it. I didn't want to do it. I just, I did what I had to do to get through it. And that's what I say a lot of times. I've been saying that for the last 3 years. You can't go around it. You can't go under it or around it. You have to go through it. And so sometimes I just had to do the damn thing, right? So I'm not saying that there aren't those expectations, that there are some, like we have to go to work, most of us. We have to go to work. But here's another expectation. I thought that I had to love my job. Because you know what? That's what I used to say to people all the time with my old career. I would say, it's great. I love my job. It's, you know, I have my dream job. Well, actually, to be quite honest, I didn't have my dream job. That was something I was selling to myself, because I had thought that I had worked so hard, spent so much money, gone to school for so long, that, you know, the dedication and all the long hard work that I had done to get there, I better love it. And when I finally allowed myself to be honest with myself and change trajectories to almost 2 years ago, it was amazing, the freedom that came from that, because I don't know where that expectation came from. I've started to kind of figure that out. I think that for me, it was that, you know, a lot of people said I wasn't going to make anything of myself, that I was going to just end up knocked up and not make anything of myself and never leave this town. And so I think so much of my fire and my desire to be better, do better, have a high degree, was to show those people that, you know what, I can do hard things. And what I realized, though, by me trying to show, it's not a bad thing to give us fire, or a fuel for that fire. But I think once you get to the top of that mountain, when you're doing that, then you have to be careful, because I think that can burn you out. And I think that's what it did for me. It's that was my fuel for so long, and now I no longer, if that's all you're working towards, is to prove to someone else that you're good enough, it was wrong from the start. It was doomed from the start. I mean, I'm grateful for all the things and the experiences that I've had, but I realized that I just needed to show myself, or be true to me, and do the job that I wanted to do, or do what I wanted to do in life, and realize that a job can just be a job. Some people are out there lucky enough to love what they do and do what they love, right? For a job, and get paid to do it. But some of us, not so much. And that's okay. So I think also giving that release, right? That expectation that you're supposed to love your job, let go of that expectation and just say, that's what I have started to do. And I really released myself from that, just saying, you know what? It's not to say that I don't like my job, right? That I have now, but I don't have to love it. It's a job. What I do love is that my life has been able to be more full because I no longer feel that my job is showing everyone how successful I am or how great I am or all those other expectations that I thought that came along with that job. What I see now is that this job that I have allows me to make sure that I am present and that I'm intentional and I'm living the life that I am proud of and that I want to do, and only under my expectations, not someone else's. So I hope this lands for some of you in the way that you start to reevaluate some of those expectations that you have for yourself. Release yourself from the ones that you didn't put on yourself, and even release yourself from some of the ones that you've put on yourself. I've had to release myself from being thinking that I, for whatever reason, I was responsible for everyone, that I needed to give all my money to everybody, that I needed to, do those types of things, or to make sure everybody else was okay. And even if I was dying inside or so upset or not happy, that my feelings didn't matter. And so where I am now is in the space of acknowledging that, you know what, that feeling that I have in my gut, it's telling me this is not good, that this expectation is not serving you. Let it go, feel it, and then release it. It's not anything that's going to help me feel the joy of living. So, I'm challenging you to, like I said, think about your expectations. In the beginning when I started this, when I changed trajectories with my career, it really all just kind of coincided, and I started up, kind of rebranded and started back up Colt Consulting, and it really was about trying to find that balance of how can I find me? Who am I? And what do I want to be? And that's constantly evolving. Sometimes I'm like, is this really what I want to be doing? Is this along the line? And I really feel that I know that I can't be alone. I know that there are probably many of you out there that feel that the weight of the world is on your shoulders, that, some of you that are my age, I just got back from seeing some family and my grandmother, and we feel the sense of, we're just letting our kids have flown the nest, and now, maybe our folks need added help, and then even our grandparents and maybe other extended family. And it's not that we don't want to help, but sometimes that can be overwhelming too, that feeling that we're supposed to be all things to everyone. But here's the reality, is that we get to choose when we show up, how we show up. And I used to think that I didn't. I used to think that that was my plight in life, that I was just supposed to take care of everybody and I'd be fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. Right? And give myself the pat on the cheeks and like, don't cry, don't show emotion, just shut up and do what they say, or what they want you to do. And somewhere along the line in the last several years, I've really started to realize that's not serving me. And that's who has to save me, is me. So think about your expectations. Think about which ones are serving you, which ones aren't. Which ones do you not want to do? I mean, there are some that we can't get away from entirely, but how can you make them better? Having boundaries. If you're looking for some different things, there's some great books out there that I've been reading that are great about boundaries and helping you figure out what those expectations are that you want to have and which ones you want to get rid of and which ones you want to put in place. But here's the other thing. You have to choose you, whether that's for a 10-minute meditation in the morning, a 20-minute walk, going to bed early and reading a book. And that's a start of starting to make those changes. And so I hope that all of you out there that have been able to join me tonight, or maybe watching the replay after I get done, that I want you to know that I see you. And I see your pain. I see your frustration, your sadness, and I also see your hopefulness that things can change. I'm here, I'm living proof that you can change your mind. They talk about millennials being the ones that, every 7 years they change jobs or something like that. And I'm like, I actually really think um, they have the understanding of what that needs to be, is that, you know what, we should have some rebirth as we go through learning of ourselves and who we want to be, who we want to change or morph into, who do we want to have around us, those types of things. So I don't think that's a bad idea that every 7 years we kind of change things up, or maybe it's sooner or maybe it's later for you, but um, ask yourself, what do you want to change and how committed are you for that? There were many times that people I met in my life that I was like, man, I want what they have. How do I get that? And so I made strides starting that way, but it really became an active um, action, I guess. I was activated when I realized that no one else could make the change but me. So choose you. You're worth it. There are so many of you that have you've done so much for everyone else. Don't forget about yourselves. So I hope you guys have a great night, and let me know down below or send me a message about what is an expectation that you would like to let go of and release and no longer do. And if you're interested in ways to find time or make time for yourself, send me a message or leave it down below and I'll send you some ideas. All right, you guys have a great Monday. I hope it's a great Monday to start of a great week. Take care.